What is the key difference then in enterprise and SMB?
SMB short sales cycles due to lower sales volume. So you need to really decide for yourself as a seller what's important for you. Do you like structure? Do you like to work in a place where everything is actually built around you? You have your frame, you know what to do. We had that on a weekly basis at Google. So we always had a forecasting at the beginning of the week and a closing at the end of the week. And this is the biggest difference between enterprise sales and SMB sales. SMB has the educational selling at the beginning. You need to explain basically why you're calling, what's your company, and what's the story behind. If I call from Google, it's self-explaining. Like what I'm doing from Google, like if they work, mostly they work already with you or they had some touch points with you. That's the biggest difference. I don't need to explain them what I'm doing at Google and why I'm calling. This is one of the main difference, but still like brand leverage and trust. If I don't have the brand leverage as an SMB, I need to build trust.
Thank you so much for listening to the first ever English sales podcast for the German-speaking market. Before we continue, I want to make you a promise. I promise that with this show, I will do my utmost best to bring in the guests and share the stories that help you succeed in the DACH market. But I can only do so much. So, if you hit the subscribe button, I can get more guests, bigger stories, and better insights to help you succeed in your sales job. So, with no further ado, sit back, relax, and let the show begin. Simon, who should listen to this episode?
I think anybody that's interested in joining tech sales, because I have experience in tech sales, and I think I'll try to explain to most of the people why it makes sense to work in EP or SMB.
So for those who don't know what EP or SMB, do you mind just explaining the difference?
Enterprise sales or small, medium-sized business sales.
And what exactly defines an enterprise company and a small, medium business?
The size of business.
Do you?
Yeah.
When I worked as a seller, I thought that it's the amount of the numbers of employees. So for me, enterprise started with 5,000 employees. But then I spoke to someone else who defined an enterprise company by revenue. So how do you define enterprise and SMBs?
I would do the mix of it.
Okay.
Because I think it's definitely driven by the size of the company, but it's also driven by revenue because you can be a small company and you can make a lot of revenue. For me, more enterprise sales is regarding or combine it, let's say, with the sales cycle. SMB sales, in my opinion, is faster, more fast-paced driven sales. Enterprise sales takes, when I have it in my mind, up to 6 months or 12 months sales cycle. So that's for me also one of the main differences between it.
Okay, interesting. That would be my next question. Like, what is the key difference then in enterprise and SMB? Do you mind telling us a little bit more about your journey and why you have the experience in both fields?
My journey started regarding the small, medium-sized business and enterprise sales at the Gustabox in Barcelona, where I scaled a team or market on the DACH market. I started when we had 2,000 clients. The company was already active in Spain, selling the products. I joined the DACH team and scaled it from 2,000 to 15,000 clients and hired also 9 people on the team, sales, logistics, and so on. And it was more B2B and B2C because we had to sell the products to the clients, to end customers like you and me, who were buying actually the food boxes. But we had to do business with partners, brands that were writing products to us. So it's a B2B and B2C approach, and I dived into the DACH market through that. Got to know as well how difficult it is for a company not being located in the DACH market, doing business in the DACH market. That was my first experience. Then I had other experience in Spain in the food industry, but then I changed in tech to Google 3 years ago. Sorry for that. 3 years ago, I changed to Google and took over the Google Ads business in ecom for the Austrian and Swiss market. So I dived from smaller companies, startup like companies, into one of the giants and got overwhelmed with the structure, with how they work, how the processes are there like really nailed. It was an amazing experience because I learned a lot through the 1.5 years I was there, especially from improving my analytical skills to how you basically use internal stakeholders and how you have to work with external stakeholders. Got used to longer sales cycles because before in the Gusto Box it was short. We had monthly sales, there was quarterly sales, and on top of that, I also got to know how big impact a brand on a leverage perspective has on the DACH market. Working for a well-known brand opens doors, helps a lot creating meetings, helps a lot to unlock stakeholders in companies, but it doesn't make the sales easier because the sales in the end is still up to you, and it can be longer, like long-term selling at Google took for ages because we were talking about bigger size value deals. And this is mainly the difference. The main difference I saw from the SMB to the enterprise sales, that SMB short sales cycles due to lower sales volume or sales deals, which is fast paced, quicker, and way more flexible. And the enterprise sales, it's long-term sales cycles up to 3, 6 months or 12 months because the size of the value of the contracts is way bigger. And that's why I changed from Google to where I'm now. It's more pricing in the SMB business again, where we're selling a SaaS in the hospitality sector on the DACH market. And I manage a team of 12 people. And also got to know the difference again from a food e-commerce to Google Ads to hospitality, that the personal touch is even more important at SMB. Like personal selling and building trust and really creating the link between you as a seller and the business owner, which in most cases in SMB are family-owned businesses. It's really important that you use emotional selling and not only emotional selling, that you really build trust by flexibility, personalization, and customer-centric selling.
So if SMB is customer-centric selling, what is selling in enterprise companies like? Is it like less customer-centric and more process-centric, or how does that differentiate?
The enterprise selling is more, you have different customers because you have different stakeholders. So you need to sell it to different stakeholders differently. Of course, it's customer centric, but you need to adapt to each stakeholder differently. In SMB, you mostly sell to one person, which is the decision maker, the owner of the company. And you really need to understand through listening, doing proper discovery selling, what's actually the problem, what's your solution, because they invest a lot with their own company in you because it's their own company. Enterprise sales, these people are getting salaries paid, having a position hold in a public company or whatsoever. So it's more about data-driven sales approach rather than the emotional part.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up because I also started in a startup, which, well, technically was a scale up, and then it got acquired by by an enterprise company, and then I worked in the enterprise company for a year as well. So I kind of got to experience both, and I 100% agree with what you say. It's that you usually had like two people that I spoke to, and out of nowhere at Workday, I had five people that I have to cover, and there's quite a lot of internal process that I had to follow to update Salesforce, how to get the quote accepted, etc., etc. Like that process can slow the sales down. But for me, it also definitely honed my skills as a strategic seller almost because I understood processes more than the overall relationship because I'm a massive relationship seller. Always go for relationship,
Mhm.
always emotions, always, like that. I just like to make people smile. But when I worked with that Workday, I had to understand the actual data, the actual process. Do you feel like that is preventing sales, or do you think that's enabling sales? Because I feel like that's quite two different opinions of like, you slow me down, but you actually make me more efficient because speed is slowing down and slowing down is speed. Something like that.
I think it really depends on the person.
hmm
What type of seller are you? In my opinion, it slowed me down.
hmm
I'm used to fast-paced environment and I like to also have an impact. I don't want to be just a number
hmm
of a company. And this is really often the case that in enterprise, you are just a number. Of course, you have your name, Helena or Simon, and you have your targets and so on. But overall, I think in an SMB business, it's way more important the way you show up every day because the results you bring not only have a huge impact on your team, they have a really huge impact on the company.
hmm
In our business currently, it's really important that we hit our numbers because we're a startup scale up. So it's really important that everybody is heard
hmm
and everybody gets a ride on the table to talk
hmm
and also gets the training and the motivation to drive the sales.
hmm
So basically in a SMB, you see because you have quicker wins and quicker results.
hmm
So it can motivate you more when you're a seller, and it's in my case the case. I'm really result driven.
hmm
I want to see an outcome quickly, and that's in enterprise sales not always the case because when we talk about a sales cycle of 6 to 12 months, how can you make yourself hungry, keep yourself hungry over the time
hmm
with short-term goals, of course. But that's why I prefer small, medium sized business.
hmm
But of course, on the other hand, you have the volume. So you need to really decide for yourself as a seller what's important for you. Do you like structure? Do you like to work in a place where everything is actually built around you? You have your frame, you know what to do. The processes are in place. The environment is there to support you. You have colleagues and so on. You have a lot of internal politics. You need to work with internal stakeholders, external stakeholders. That's enterprise sales. If it's for you, great. And if you're up for staying long term in an enterprise sales because you want to climb the ladder, let's
hmm
call it the job title ladder, because you want to grow in the company and change titles and so on and grow in enterprise, that's definitely the place for you.
hmm
If you look for something fast paced because you want to see the impact straight away, you want flexibility, you want to have personalization, that you can actually offer specific deals, that you can personalize things more towards the client and so on, and that you really like roller coaster sales, I think SMB is the right place to be because 1 month you're up, 1 month you're down. It's
hmm
never boring.
Yeah.
And this is actually why I decided for SMB, and that's why I like it. It's exhausting.
hmm
Of course, it's exhausting, but it's very rewarding.
hmm
It's very rewarding because you see the impact you bring every day instantly. And that's for me the biggest change.
So do you feel like if you had to put it in a sentence, I loved how you describe the two positions. Like depending on what type of seller you are, there is a place for everyone. Nothing is better or worse. It just is different, and you have to be aware of it. So the way I understand it is enterprise sales is structured, is like worked around you, almost like you fit into a box, and when you fit into that box, then it works perfectly because you have the process, you have the people, you have the data, you have the customer stories, etc., etc. You have everything sorted. But it also means it takes a bit longer. You need to like almost give yourself into an external process of the company rather than creating your own process, or like being the ownership of your own sales cycle, let's say. Whereas in a small business or small medium business, there is much more flexibility, much more fast pace, but it also means you have to put in the work because you can't relax on a big name. You can't just call someone and say, "Hey, I'm calling from Google. Are you free right now?" And people are usually like, "Oh, Google, I'm wanted by a star." Whereas when you call from, "I'm calling you from Helena Inc." and no one knows who Helena Inc. is, then they're like, "No, sorry, that's a cold call, and I don't want to talk to you." So yeah, I think that's a really, really good way of describing the two differences. I guess when I joined the enterprise, so when I joined Workday, I have learned a lot of processes that I'm still using today, even though back in the day I was like, what the heck? Why do I even need to learn this? This is a waste of time. But actually, hindsight, I'm like, oh wow, I'm so grateful they taught me this. Do you have specific sales processes or something that you have learned when you joined Google or in the time of Google that you're still using today and that you would love to share with the audience?
Yes, working with dashboards is definitely helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Like being very analytical and having top of mind the data. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still doing it, and I'm also a huge fan of Excel. I also create my own dashboards for the team,
Mm-hmm.
even though we have a lot of data in our CRM. I'm a huge fan to bring it in one place and make it really, really digestible for them. That's one point. When it comes to reporting, I mean, big companies, you have to report all the time. But I'm a big fan of the forecasting and closing of the weeks in sales.
Mm-hmm.
I got used to that because we had that on a weekly basis at Google. So we always had a forecasting at the beginning of the week and a closing at the end of the week. I'm still doing it, and I implement it also in our process, and also pipeline management.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the company, they created their own CRM. It's different, and we also had different sizes of deals, but the way you move through the pipe is something I learned. I
Mm-hmm.
had that already at the beginning, but Google is something that it's really structured.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put numbers down. You have to be really detailed in what you write,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to be able to report on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have always data that back you up.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I learned the most, let's say, from Google. You cannot be not prepared in a meeting. You always, as a seller, should know your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sit in a meeting and you get asked about something, don't bring up a stupid answer. Back yourself with data
Mm-hmm.
and results. And I'm really result driven as a manager as well. That's why it's really important for me that my sellers are getting used to this process. That in sales, it's quite easy. The numbers speak for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the story behind it.
That is such a good point, and that's definitely something where I need to improve. But there are two questions that I have. The first one is there a specific like framework that you follow for it? So for instance, what I've learned is a turn update. So T is the trend, update, risk, and next steps. So it's the this is how I update my deals until today. So once it's in the pipeline, I know I do the turn. Where exactly? What's the trend? what just happened,
Mhm.
where do I see the risk, what are the next steps? And if I miss one of the things, then I know even down the line, besides all of the medic and account executive, etc., discovery, but the overall pipeline update in the CRM needs to cover those points. And if I miss something, then I know I have to re-qualify that, definitely. Do you have any, like, what's it called, like a methodology that you use to look into the data, or do you just gather everything you have and then you just work your way through it?
I like working my way through it. I got really used to work with pivot tables.
Mm-hmm.
That's also something due to Google I learned. I mean, you work with the smartest people and they know how to use. I mean, Google is based on data.
Yeah.
You make data basically measurable. To be honest, I like looking at the whole picture
Mm-hmm.
and draw my path through it to get actually my reasoning out of it. Like have a bunch of data and know basically what I want to look at and do it with strategic approaches, pivot tables, and so on, to have the reasoning behind. That's what I meant before. Data or data-driven sales, that's something that's in enterprise sales, something really, really important. I try to approach that as well to our sales, not only the way we sell, but the way we work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you back things with data, it's more tangible.
Yeah.
And it speaks for itself.
From all of the data points that you can gather, what are the data points that you need to have to make sure that you actually can look into the data? And are they the same from SMB to enterprise, or are they different because it's a different style of selling?
I don't think so. I think this is really aligned. I mean, if I ask Ronaldo how many free kicks he took on the training court, I think he knows, or how many goals he scored last season. I think out of a shot from a gun, he can tell me straight away the number. I want from my sellers, depends of course of the business. Are you an SD or an BD or are you an AE? I want to understand the touch points you have. Like how many calls did you do? How many answered calls did you do? How many conversations you had with the client? How many emails were sent, for example? What's the conversion rate?
Mm-hmm.
What's your conversion rate on overall?
Mm-hmm.
Because it shows actually how efficient you are. And of course, the outcome, I want to know what ARR are you driving and what's your current target achievement.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is something you can relate to any business because it's just a number game, either if it's enterprise sales or if it's small, medium. And also really know your data when it comes to forecasting. You need to be really hands on which deals are closing this month and which, for example, move forward. So really on which type of percentage you set on the forecasting
Mm-hmm.
is also something you can relate to all of the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Being really realistic with which deals are going to close and also tell me basically where are the hurdles and the problems.
Mm-hmm. So you don't use any framework or anything. You literally just look at all of the numbers you can in any way get your hands on and then work your way through it.
Yeah.
Okay. With that in mind, it's interesting because I usually try to tidy things in my mind. So with that in mind, how do you see a big difference between the different regions? Do you see, like, in terms of sales, in terms of maybe even data points that you realize, hey, actually, in the DACH market, the proven ROI is much more important than the actual pain point the customer has, or something like that. Do you see differences in selling into the DACH market on a SMB versus enterprise level?
Absolutely. I think the main difference of selling, either if it's enterprise or SMB in the DACH market, is brand leverage. I mentioned already before, when you call from Google in the DACH market, people are like, wow, okay, cool. Someone from Google calls me. I mean, I worked also at Haribo. If you called someone from Haribo in Germany, they were like, okay, I know you. So the educational part is gone. And this is the biggest difference between enterprise sales and SMB sales. SMB has the educational selling at the beginning. You need to explain basically why you're calling, what's your company, and what's the story behind. If I call from Google, it's self-explaining. Like what I'm doing from Google, like if they work, mostly they work already with you, or they had some touch points with you. That's the biggest difference. I don't need to explain them why, like what I'm doing at Google and why I'm calling. This is one of the main difference, but still like brand leverage and trust. If I don't have the brand leverage as an SMB, I need to build trust. And the trust is built really through on the DACH market, especially. And I see also a shift in that. It's really on flexibility, personalization, and customer centric working. Because even if you are enterprise sales and you still had the brand in the past, now the market gets more used to startups and scale ups and is also more volatile. They are more open to change. If this company I used for 20 years, I used to work with for 20 years, is not flexible enough anymore, is not personalized anymore, okay, then there's a small company there that is really focused on solving my problem, finding a solution for my problem, and they are fast. They can offer it quickly, so I change. And this is what I see on the DACH market, that you still have this old-fashioned clients that no, I stick to what I have, and I have been with them for ages. So it's still very slow in changes comparing to other markets, let's say UKI, for example. Or I also see it in Italy, like companies are changing softwares like on a monthly basis if they want.
Oh, wow.
There's no real relationship. DACH companies is the same like writing emails for a German speaking person. It's like I go with someone, or coming to a demo or coming to a meeting means something like contract wise, or writing an email.
Yeah.
It's like signed, okay, I replied to you, I'm in, and it's written in email. It's like a contract.
Yeah.
In other cultures, it's like that has no value. So the dark market is different. If you get someone interested in your product and they show up, the conversion rate is way higher than other markets. And this is the same for enterprise sales and SMB sales, but it's different from other markets. So it's more difficult to convince people to join a meeting, but it's easier to convince them when they're already interested to convert.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is something I think is really different than other markets. And to sum it up, the trend goes really away from brands to more trust, personalization, flexibility, customer centric. And this can be done either by SMB or enterprise. So it's not about I'm sticking with this company forever. No, if they're not happy, if they're not really if the customer service is shit, companies are switching. And this I see more and more happening on the DACH market.
I love that. It's funny you mentioned that, and I was not aware of it. Being German myself, I was not aware of the importance of commitment in specifically the DACH market. I feel like in pretty much every episode I did about selling in DACH, everyone mentioned get the commitment. You need to get the commitment of the prospect in the DACH market, because once you have it, it's very difficult to lose it unless you really screw it up. But it's harder to get it, but once you have it, you actually have it. And that is something that is really handy to know, because back in the day I just thought, okay, I just need to hit the right spot. I have to bring the pain point out, like I have to do this typical sales, rather than thinking about the cultural differences, which is actually just the commitment. And Vince once said that we spoke about discovery in DACH, and he also said that giving the people the feeling that they are in control, so that they can choose how the next step look like, but you actually lead without them feeling like you're leading. You give them a feeling of them controlling it, which gives them their commitment, which gives them their commitment. If that makes sense. Yeah. Fascinating.
I can see that. I can see that, especially when it comes to contracts on the DACH market.
Mm-hmm.
The trend goes more towards flexibility. They don't want to commit to 1 year contract. They want to have this feeling of, like you just said, I'm in control.
Yeah.
I can quit every month when I want, but the people stay.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing, because DACH market is really about like this psychological factor that, okay, you are in control.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't change anything because as soon as you commit, you stay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is something completely different in other markets. You don't need to force them. As soon as they're committed, they stay.
Yeah.
But it's more about this flexibility that they have this in their mind. If at some point I'm not happy, I can leave without any problem. I
Yeah.
think this is something, a key driver currently. And also what I forgot to say, and this is also something really important, which is still old school, but still happening. DACH is really focused about in person. To sell in DACH, people want to see you. Like we can see it that we sign contracts on the fairs, for example.
Yeah.
Happened last week in Salzburg at the Gast. We were already in touch with this client over months.
Yeah.
We presented them the product and so on. Then they came by at our stand, just wanted to see that we are real,
Yeah.
that we exist as a company, that there are people behind. You have a handshake, you drink a coffee and so on. You explain them the same you already did via virtual conferences or phone calls, but it's more about, okay, there is a person behind I can trust. It's about creating this personal link. And this was also the difficult part we had at the Gustabox. We had an office in Barcelona and we were selling in the DACH market. That made it very difficult at the beginning because we were not there. And you're also not a German company. So this local aspect of being a company there, okay, I can trust you because you're in Germany, you're in Austria or Switzerland, has a huge impact. In-person meeting has a huge impact. And the commitment, flexibility.
Yeah.
This is how I would sum it up.
I love that. That is so helpful. I spent the last month analyzing price strategies in the DACH market, and what I found is exactly what you said. That flexibility that usually on a company side you kind of want to go for the annual contract. Ideally, they sign for 5 years, and then you're sweet. You have a clear, forecast. Everything is stable. But I kept on seeing the trend monthly. And another trend that I saw, which I think is quite interesting, and that's what I'm going to do with the Sales in DACH Academy, is guarantee back, like a refund of 100% if you're not satisfied within that time frame. Because there's another control that you give the customer, another way of telling them, first of all, I know my product is working. I also know you will like it, but if you don't like it, I'm not going to be a dick about it. And I think that has been kind of mind-blowing when back in the day, I haven't seen that anywhere, but now I see it everywhere. I see masterclass.com. I see it with sales coaches. I see it with all sorts of like pricing strategies, like always a guarantee. And that I found quite, I don't want to say revolutionizing because, yeah, but it certainly is a trend that I've found. What do you think, Simon?
I'm 100% aligned. I think DACH market is very price open. Like it's never an issue. I don't know how you call this word in English, but
no, that's right.
they're really they would like maybe some clients would nail you on the price. They say it's too expensive. I'm not interested because they don't see the return on investment.
Yeah.
This will always happen. You cannot satisfy 100% of the clients, but I would say 80% of the client, 90% of the client it's not the objection, the price that they go with you. It's because you couldn't really commit them.
Yeah.
And committing them means giving them the flexibility. Because if what you just said, I give them this psychological factor of, okay, I can pull out whenever I want. Great. It helps because as soon as they go live, the churn rate is so low
Yeah.
that you never have to think about it, because this is something we actually saw. Latin cultures are like, okay, easygoing. I sign. Where do I sign? And then I sign something, and then like 2 months later, I don't want it anymore. And they want always free trials. They want always try something for free because it's the cost.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's about, okay, but now it starts to become paying.
Yeah.
Now I need to pay. Oh, fuck. Let's pull out.
Yeah.
For the Germans, it's really like, I'm in. I like it. I'm convinced about the product. The only issue I have is, how do we deal with my commitment?
Yeah.
I'm actually I want to commit, but I have still this barrier of, do I have flexibility with you, or does someone else offer more flexibility?
Yeah.
If so, I might go with someone else that is maybe even more expensive.
Yeah.
And this is something we see, and this is more and more coming, because you have many solutions on the market of different softwares, different products. And this is related to what I said before. I think the key drivers of sales in the DACH market are not anymore brand reputation,
Mm-hmm.
or is not anymore brand reputation. It is trust, personalization, flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we see it more and more, and I saw it also with other companies, that the DACH market is very special on that.
Yeah.
And if you're not able to offer that, you will have it difficult on the market.
Such great points. Also, guys, if you're interested in sales fairs in DACH, I did an episode with Björn on sales fairs in DACH. He has been to about 400 sales fairs over the last 20 years, and he has learned a lot. Just FYI, I was just thinking about that one. One other question is about this, because flexibility, I love that commitment and flexibility, because usually that doesn't go hand in hand. When you're like, but commitment means not flexibility, right? But I think you need to earn the commitment in giving them a way out, almost like it's like a beautiful relationship that you have. You don't want to be Beauty and the Beast style when he freaking locks her into a tower and pushes her into a relationship. You actually want to have the freedom of leaving, which makes you want to stay. Which is the weirdest example ever, Simon. I don't know why I thought about that, but fair enough. Don't be the Beast in Beauty and the Beast, at least not in the first half of the movie. The other thing that I was thinking about is, with that in mind, how important do you think is it that a seller speaks German or, speaks German? Let's start with that.
It's a make or breaker. If you don't speak it, don't go to DACH. if you speak it, go there. And it's also really important how high your level of German is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I see the same in France. I speak French. In France, it's also the same. I think these countries or these markets are really defending their language and culture, which I understand to a certain point. And it comes back to trust.
Yeah.
Can I trust someone that doesn't even speak my language?
Yeah.
Because we can see it still. I mean, the English level in Germany is rising, and Austria and Switzerland is rising on the DACH market. But still, if you deal, for example, with the older generation of in companies that have leadership positions, that have as a small medium business, they own this business, they are the decision makers.
Yeah.
And their English is like on a basic level that they could go on holiday but cannot do business with.
Yeah.
Then it's definitely essential that you can sit down and that they can talk in their native language with you. And it's building trust. And it's also customer centric, what I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to sell on the DACH market, don't go with English. Don't do it. You need to speak German because you need to focus on customer centric. Why should I make the life difficult for someone, for a prospect that I want to sell to?
Yeah.
He wants to have it easy. So I need to make it easy for him or for her to speak in their language. And I think that's something maybe some companies are not really focusing on, and that's why they're failing. We are focusing on because we're offering also customer service in German, because that's also some part that customers go with us because we offer the service
Yeah.
in customer service in their native language.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to set up a software in English that they have to translate everything. And then they might be, oh, do I understand that? The same with contracts. Contracts need to be in German.
Yeah.
So language is definitely a maker or breaker. If you speak it on a high level, let's say, go, try to sell. If not, you can try it, but chances are
Good
really
luck
low
to you.
that you succeed.
You have to listen to a lot of Sales and DACH podcast episodes to figure it out.
Yes.
One thing, goodness, I literally just had a question. Yeah, exactly. The data proves exactly your point. I looked into the recent reports on like customer success and how companies actually purchase products in DACH. Freaking got obsessed with it, Simon. I did not have a private life anymore. And what they found out is that over 76% of customers prefer buying their products in their own language. So getting information in their own language, which means if you don't do that, you lose a potential of over 76% of customers, of like prospects that would actually interact with you if you were to speak their language or offer that. So I agree with you. You did say at the beginning, and I wrote that down, you did say at the beginning that you also focus on the Austrian and Swiss market, which I find fascinating because I know we often speak about the DACH market, but I feel like sometimes we focus on Germany too much. And I found when I outbounded Austria or Switzerland, or companies in Austria, Switzerland, I found they were quite like still compared to the UK, more similar to the German way of outbounding, but I found it was much more kinder. They actually had a conversation with me and not just say, Miss Klaus, get to the point. Why are you calling me? Don't waste my time. How did you find it? Do you see specific differences in within DACH, so Switzerland, Austria, and Germany?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm Austrian.
Exactly. This is
What
why I'm
shall I
like,
say? What shall I say? We are sweet on the phone. We like having conversations.
yeah,
No, but joke aside, there is a huge difference in the market, like in the countries, and even in the countries, there's a huge difference in the regions.
mm-hmm.
If we focus on Germany, I mean, selling to someone in northern part of Germany is different than selling to someone in Bavaria or Baden-Württemberg.
Yeah.
Selling to someone in Tyrol in Austria is different than selling to someone in Vienna.
Yeah.
So it's the markets itself are different markets. But I have to say, doing business, and we see it also, especially in our market with hospitality, we are very successful in the southern part of Germany and in Austria in general, because people are more open to try things. And it's also because of tourism. I mean, they are the strongest tourism regions on the DACH market. We are getting stronger in the northern parts of Germany, but as you mentioned before, people are just like directly to the point. Don't waste my fucking time. Get to the point. What do you want?
Yeah.
It's a different sales approach. Vienna is similar. They always say Vienna is different. In German, Vienna is very different. You also have to get really to the point in Vienna. The important thing is you need to know your market. If you call somewhere, you need to be a regional expert.
Yeah.
You need to come up with something regional, icebreakers, be nice on the phone. I mean, don't be a robot.
Yeah.
Switzerland is a completely different market. I mean, that's why we're also trying as sales in DACH, because you just mentioned before, is it important to speak German on a DACH market? Yes, it is. It's even more important to speak the accent or dialect of the region, because we see that, for example, we have Austrians being very successful in Austria or in the southern part of Germany because it's very similar.
Yeah.
If you call in Switzerland, good luck if you're not Swiss.
Yeah.
Because either they try to talk to you, but they know that you're trying to sell to them something, so they switch to Swiss German, very difficult to understand. Or on top of that, Switzerland has 4 official languages.
Yeah.
So understand the market, understand the language. Don't call there as a robot.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
Yeah.
Be prepared and come up with something regional, and always have a bit of a smile.
The smile is
on the phone.
Yeah. Taking away from that is, first of all, if there is a sales manager out there, if you're a sales manager listening to this, or if you're a CEO, if you're a founder or whatever, and you're thinking about expanding into DACH, make sure that you have someone who is from that area, DACH at least, because there are cultural differences. Of course, you can't get someone who has everything in one package, but at least getting cultural differences, like do not ask how the weather is. Just don't waste your breath on it. Don't do that. But keeping the overall sales strategy of get to the point. I usually like the 15-second rule. Like at the beginning, you use the first 15 seconds to get the next 15 minutes, to get the next 1.5 hours, to by the end of it, you spend 15 hours together and they sign. Like that kind of way I found quite useful. But just be aware that the culture is just a bit different. One question with this though, from an enterprise and SMB perspective, because I was thinking from a company side, it might be interesting to know what is a salary expectation for a seller going into an enterprise company, let's say a DACH seller going into enterprise compared to SMB. Is that different salaries, or could that be similar, or how did you do that from a leadership point of view as well?
It is definitely different. I can see that enterprise sales offers higher salaries than SMB, especially the bonus structure is way higher because we talk about bigger deal sizes. So depends, of course, about the company and what they're selling. We can see a difference between enterprise sales and SME. However, I would always advise people not always just look at the salary. I would always ask as well, like, how high is the target achievement? Like if I get a bonus, let's say an amazing bonus structure, and I ask the company, okay, what's the average target achievement? And I hear that it's around 70, 60%. I'm like, fuck you. Great that you offer me such a high bonus, but I will never reach it anyway.
Yeah.
And also, if there is any possibility in growing in the position, because in a SMB, you can grow faster in a more leadership role, let's say, take over more responsibility, and this responsibility is paid way more in the future in the long run. So really look, like, I can see it that SMB is still quite complicated because salaries on the DACH market are higher than other markets in general. But look at basically what's more important. Is it really the flexibility, personalization, and the drive, the speed, and the impact you can have on an SMB, except a bit lower salary base, let's say, but you reach easier your bonus? Or enterprise because you really want to be in a structure that is like a dinosaur moving slowly, and everything is pre-chewed for you, let's call it this way. And you like the political part of working together with different internal stakeholders, great, but don't expect to have a massive bonus achievement because most of this company offer a huge bonus. Ask for the target achievement of the average people, not the top performers. To really get it, because it sounds nice on paper. If you look at the OT, it doesn't look nice on the payslip at the end.
Do you have other questions that you would recommend people asking when they interview at the different companies?
Yeah, what's the turnover? Like, how long do people stay in the company? Definitely, like, how long does the average person stay in this role? So I also can see how fast I can move. Because if they tell me I have to stay 2 or 3 years, which was actually the case at Google, that there you had to stay like 2 years or 3 years to be actually accessible for promotion. If you like that, great for you. But in a smaller company, you can move faster because it's related to, okay, if I bring the input and have the impact, bring the results, why should I wait 2 years?
Yeah.
So this is one thing. Why did people leave the company? That's definitely a question. What else could I recommend someone to ask? Yeah, how do the first 3 months look like? What type of training do you offer? Because since this is also different between enterprise sales and SMB sales, yes, enterprise take a lot of time onboarding you. So you have a lot of time to get on. It's great, but I could see that it's really product training focused.
Yeah.
It's not sales training focused. And I take a lot of value and I put a lot of effort on training my salespeople rather than just focusing on the product. Because SMB is really personalized, emotional selling, customer centric, selling driven rather than the product and brand leverage.
Yeah.
So
that's why you joined the
this
academy.
also keep in mind.
Yeah. Like you.
That's why I joined the academy.
Yeah, but the reason I mention that is because since I know you, Simon, you have always looked out for opportunities to learn, to grow as a leader, but also where can you enable your sellers? And that might be with the sales academy, that might be with team bonding activities. That's how I got to know you, and that's how I got to respect you as well. And it's interesting what you mentioned is literally all of the points that when we founded STS of Germany, in the first year, we actually launched a job board. It's called the Honest, or used to be called the Honest Job Board. And we analyzed in the community what are things that you want to know from a company before you start. There were 5 questions, like the STS of Germany questions. One was commission split. Obviously, the salary was a key point. Who is hitting target in your team? Exactly what you said. Like, is that really reasonable? What's your onboarding program? What's your progression plan? Like, how do I progress? And the last thing was, what's your tech stack? What technology can I use to support the sales part? Which I found was crucial as well. Are you going to work with Excel, or are you going to work with something like SalesLoft? Are you going to work with automations, or are you going to work manually? Super important to know. Is there a specific tech stack that you recommend from a leader perspective? Maybe even there are different ones for enterprise compared to SMB. But what is the tech stack that you trust in, that you would recommend companies to offer their sellers?
I mean, it really depends on which type of customer you're targeting. If you target B2B, I would definitely recommend SalesLoft or LinkedIn Sales Navigator, because you actually have the possibility to directly interact with these people. There are many tools out there if it comes to creating sequences, Ample Market, for example. It really depends. In our case right now, it's quite complicated because we're targeting hotel owners.
Yeah.
So it is very tough to have a software that targets hotel owners. For us, the advantage is cold calling, to be honest, because people pick up the phone when you call in a hotel. So there's no way around about calling. Or you drive by, field sales. It really depends. I cannot recommend any software to use because it should be tailored to your customer, like your tailored sales approach.
Yeah.
There's so many softwares out there. I couldn't even mention all of them now. I don't have time for that. So really focus on who is your customer and how can you reach this customer in an easy and engaging way.
Yeah.
I think that's how I would look at any solution I would take.
I love that. Customer focus. Build it around your customer, not around your own company. Simon, I see the time. I have one last question that I ask all of my guests, just to make sure that everyone who's listening to this podcast knows exactly what they can do today to improve whatever they want to improve. In that case, do you have 3 exercises or tasks that someone can do today to improve their sales game in either enterprise or SMB?
Absolutely. First, I would definitely start reading books. I mean, there's so many books out there that tell you things about cold calling, that tell you things about managing people. I'm a huge fan of fanatical prospecting, for example.
Mhm.
If you're interested in cold calling, then that first of all, then I would definitely get involved in communities like we're talking here about. SDR Germany, or there are many, many other communities out there. So really get engaged and talk to each other. There are also groups in different cities. So try to bond and try to exchange ideas. And on top of that, improving is definitely trying and failing. Like sales is something you need to practice.
Mhm.
And I think you should really have someone, a mentor next to you that you can trust and ask for advice.
Mhm.
And you should try to implement things that you work on. Create your own script, work on the script, work on specific skills, get feedback, look basically what are your strengths, work on your strengths, make them your power,
Mhm.
and try to leverage a bit your weaknesses. But I'm a huge fan of making people better in what they're already great,
Mhm.
because then they are unique. I don't want to have basic sellers. I want to have people who are amazing in what they're already doing great.
Mhm.
This is something I want that they keep in mind, because people try maybe always to improve their weaknesses, but it's maybe better to really focus on what you're doing great and make it even better.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's why you're a great leader. Simon, thank you so much. Guys, if you want to reach out to Simon or to me, I will link his LinkedIn profile, my LinkedIn profile in the notes. If there's any question, please do reach out. We are here to make your life easier and more successful. Simon, it was such a pleasure as always. I love our
Thank you very much.
little chats. I'm excited for the next one. And again, thank you so much for your insights. It was really, really useful. And I definitely wish I had that one when I started in sales.
Thank you very much, Helena. And we are currently looking for account executives for my team. So
Okay.
if you're German speaker and interested to work in tech sales in SMB, get in touch with me. We are open to listen to any great profiles out there that can help us boost our business on the DACH market.
100%. And I can only recommend this. I have spoken to Simon a couple of times now. Big fan, guys. Big fan. Thank you.
Thank you, Helena.